Hello there, my name is Jason Schmaltz. I'm an AMGA Rock Guide apprentice, and today I'm going to share with you a rescue technique that I used with one of my clients in a multi-pitch setting a couple weeks ago when they had gotten tangled up in a rope and needed assistance while I was at the top of the second pitch. So the scenario is I was guiding the client. There's actually two clients. We were in Caterpillar because it was kind of a winding pitch, so I didn't want to do parallel. And I had them on belay on a gree-gree. I may show a variation with a tube device, but my scenario was gree-gree. And the client was about 30 or 40 feet below me, maybe 30 feet. And there was a bulge out, I couldn't see them. And they said that they had gotten tangled up in the rope and couldn't progress. And I couldn't really understand when talking to them if they had come out of the system or if they had just gotten tangled or back clipped something, whatever the case may be. The key was I stayed calm while I was talking to them, and I realized I wasn't going to be able to understand their situation, much less get them out of it, unless I went down to help them. So in order to do that, the very first thing I did was I went hands-free on the gree-gree by tying overhand on a bite on the back side of the gree-gree. So now I can go hands-free. Second thing I want to do is get down to the client. So I need to rappel off of something. I didn't want to just rappel off the back side of the gree-gree because if the client came undone or unweighted, I might pull them up or yank me down or something like that. So I needed to isolate this rope from the system that I was going to rappel on. So in order to do that, I got a second carabiner, came in between my clove and the gree-gree, grabbed the back side or brake hand of the gree-gree and cloved on that carabiner and locked it. So now I have the gree-gree isolated from the line I'm going to rappel on. And so from there I can go ahead and get out my rappel setup. Now for me, I wanted to take the extra time, even though I had a 120 centimeter sling, I wanted to take the extra time to go ahead and get my normal Petzl connect adjust. I felt more comfortable using this in the setting because it would give me flexibility if I need to clip to something, and then I could keep my 120 centimeter sling if I had to use it to build a little mini anchor system or something like that for the client. So I went ahead and installed the connect adjust and cloved my reverso. So that's ready to go, and then got out my third hand. So again, the strand I'm going to go off of is the back side of this clove, so I'll use my third hand to go ahead and grab that. And for a single strand, I have to do about 4 wraps with my hollow block in this case, and go ahead and test that that's biting. It is. And the whole time I'm putting this stuff together, I'm talking to the client and just making sure that they're calm and hey, this is just going to take 2 seconds. And it was quite quick because I kind of knew this thing like the back of my hand. So I have this set up now, third hand, reverso, lockdown carabiner. So I'm safe on this system now. I can come out of my clove, my original clove, and I'm going to bring this carabiner with me just in case I need it. You never know what I'm going to see down there. I don't know what's coming. And I can take the PAS extension and just clip it to my belay loop. And now I'm ready to rappel down to the client. Okay, so once I got down to my client, even though I had third hand in, I went ahead and made a catastrophe knot. I knew I was going to have to send again, so I needed it regardless. So then I could use my hands and try to calm them down in any way I needed to, although they were quite calm. And so I was able to observe that they had simply just clipped the carabiner in the wrong fashion for their follower to come up. I helped them correct it. Took 2 seconds. They were able to remain calm. I was able to get them in a position where they would be comfortable while I ascended and I said, hey, I'll be right back up on the belay in about 2 minutes and we can just continue the climb. The whole time it was really nice and calm, and that's one of the advantages of this system is the client or the follower gets to see you and see that you have total control of the situation, which was great. So from here, I need to move to an ascending mode with my reverso. I was in pretty easy terrain to unweight. If you didn't have that, you would need to build something to step up to. But I went ahead and just stepped up on the rock, clipped the reverso into guide mode. Again, I already have my catastrophe knot, so I went ahead and got my third hand out of the system. And from here, you can kind of figure out what you want to do. You know, if you need assistance to ascend, it's nice to have a nano traction that you can put on your strand and go ahead and pull yourself up. For me, I was on a climb that I was pretty familiar with, so I actually felt comfortable just climbing with this system in place, knowing that if I fell, I would still take basically a lead fall and on this rope. But I felt super confident in climbing the route that I was on, so I felt like the risk was acceptable. This is one of those things where the textbook answer is build a nice ascension system and, you know, make little catastrophe knots every 5 feet or 10 feet, and that's fine, nothing wrong with that. And if you're unfamiliar with the climbing territory, I would probably do that. But I knew this route and I wanted to get back on the belay so the climb could continue, and I saw that as the most pressing matter and no risk to go ahead and start climbing up. So once I approached back to the belay station, I went ahead and pulled the slack through the reverso that was in guide mode. And so I'm basically locked in right now. I have my catastrophe knot still down at the bottom of the part where I was looking at the climb, maybe about 20 feet below me. Again, I feel completely safe. If I didn't, I could have made some more catastrophe knots closer, but I felt fine here. And then I can go ahead and clove back in on my master point. So I'm safe now. I can disassemble this whole system. Then from here, I can pull up any of the remaining slack that was below me, take out my catastrophe knot, and then come on back and undo this clove, undo the overhand, and I'm back to belaying. Alternatively, if I was using a reverso or ATC in guide mode, I would still make the same overhand on a bite as I did before with the gree-gree. This is okay when the tube device is in guide mode because you have a progress capture. So the likelihood of this knot getting sucked back into the tube slots and then being hard to retrieve is very low. And even if it was, you only have to get maybe an inch or so of material where you have enough to untie this knot. However, if this is the only device that I had and I didn't have like a gree-gree or something else to rappel down, one option would be to make a rappel device out of carabiners if I had it and the terrain was easy. But if it was tricky, I would definitely want my reverso. So I would go ahead and build a weight transfer system. So to do this, I would get a cordelette. And I would wrap the rope with the cordelette. And I like to do a climb heist here. You could also do a prusik or something like that. But whatever the case may be, make sure it's biting. And then up here, I get a decent sized carabiner. And I'm gonna make a munter. And once I have my munter, I'll make my mule. And once I have my mule ear, if I got enough tail, I can just put the tail through the mule ear and I can lock that. Slide this down as much as I can. And now I just have to move enough material through the reverso to unweight the rope, which I can just do the ratchet method. So you can see that's unweighted now. But before I come off this system, I need to build a system that I'm gonna go to, which I want to be releasable. So I'll go ahead and build another munter and then a mule with an overhand. And I can lock that down. And now my system's releasable and backed up. So I can go ahead and take my ATC out of, or reverso out of the system. Now I have my device for the rescue. So I want to go ahead and get this extra slack out of the system. So I will release this. Okay, I can take that out and grab my climb heist. Take that off the system. I can leave this here because I'm going to come back and need it to get my reverso back into the system unless my client can unweight it, which they might be able to once I get them set up. I'll take this carabiner with me, and now I would rebuild the same system that I showed you before that I would lower on. Hey, I hope you found this video useful for how to rappel down to a follower in a multi-pitch scenario, help them get out of trouble, and then get back up and continue climbing. For me, this was a really useful system. I was able to practice on my skills board beforehand, so I kind of knew the system before I got out and had to actually use it in a vertical environment. If you're interested in getting our skills board, check out the link in the description below with the promo code SSE10 to get 10% off. Hey, we'll see you out on the crag.